An individual who oppresses another is equally a slave to his own tyranny. The year was 2081, and everybody was finally equal. They weren't just equal before God and the law, they were equal in every possible way. No one was smarter than anyone else. No one was better looking. No one was stronger or faster. This absolute equality was enforced by the 211th, 212th, and 213th Amendments to the Constitution, along with the relentless oversight of agents from the United States Handicapper General. Kurt Vonnegut Jr.'s short dystopian story Harrison Bergeron explores the nightmare of total equality. In this society, no one is allowed to be smarter, more attractive, or stronger than anyone else. Strict laws ensure that anyone with exceptional abilities is handicapped. Beautiful people must wear disfiguring masks. The intelligent are forced to wear ear radios blasting disruptive noises, and the strong are weighed down with burdensome restraints. People begin to dumb themselves down or conceal their talents out of fear of punishment. Equality is finally achieved, but at the cost of freedom and individuality. One person's utopia is another's dystopia. G.K. Chesterton once wrote, "When all are sexless, there will be equality. There will be no women and no men. There will be but a fraternity, free and equal. The only consoling thought is that it will endure but for one generation." This once seemed like satire, but in today's world, it feels less far-fetched. But what drives the push for equality to such extreme and often absurd lengths? Beneath the surface, one possible explanation lies in what Viktor Frankl called the unheard cry for meaning, a crisis that plagues modern society. Ours is an age marked by disorientation, a lack of purpose, and a deep uncertainty about what to do with one's life. Nietzsche foresaw the rise of this and wrote extensively about nihilism, which he considered as the lack of higher values brought about by the death of God. The answer is lacking to our why. He writes, "What were we doing when we unchained this earth from its sun? Whither is it moving now? Whither are we moving? Away from all suns? Are we not plunging continually? Backward, sideward, forward, in all directions? Is there still any up or down? Are we not straying as through an infinite nothing? God is dead, God remains dead, and we have killed him. How shall we comfort ourselves, the murderers of all murderers? What was holiest and mightiest of all that the world has yet owned has bled to death under our knives. Who will wipe this blood off us? What water is there for us to clean ourselves? What festivals of atonement? What sacred games shall we have to invent? Is not the greatness of this deed too great for us? Must we ourselves not become gods simply to appear worthy of it?" Nietzsche's tragic proclamation of the death of God was prophetic. Modernity has not freed us, but instead replaced God with public opinion and an endless cycle of entertainment. Scientific rationality has propelled humanity forward, yet it has also exposed our insignificance in the vast cosmos. We are told we are merely the product of evolution, an accidental emergence in the flow of birth and decay, and that skepticism toward the afterlife, and even God, is the only rational stance. So we move through life, consumed by routine, until something forces us to pause and reflect. Albert Camus puts it perfectly. Rising streetcar, 4 hours in the office or factory, meal streetcar, 4 hours of work, meal, sleep, and Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, according to the same rhythm. This path is easily followed most of the time. But one day the why arises, and everything begins in that weariness tinged with amazement. Bishop Robert Barron explains that a meaningful life is one lived in a purposive relationship to a value, whether that be the good, the true, or the beautiful. Religious meaning, however, is deeper. It is a life oriented toward the summum bonum, the highest good, the ultimate source of truth, beauty, and morality, which is God. Every value is nested within a greater value, leading upward. But without a summum bonum to guide us, we lack a true, motivating force. That absence creates a crisis of meaning. Unlike past generations, modern man is no longer guided by traditions or universal truths. Instead, he risks falling into relativism, where there is no objective right or wrong, only the subjective beliefs of individuals or cultures. This leads to an ego drama, the illusion that we are the center of everything. With no higher truth to unify people, individual wills clash, and the strongest impose their will on others. In such a landscape, the conditions are ripe for two dangers: totalitarianism, blindly following what others dictate, and conformism, mindlessly imitating the crowd. One of the clearest illustrations of how human nature and social systems give rise to totalitarianism can be found in George Orwell's Animal Farm. Orwell tells the story of animals who suffer under the cruelty of human masters. They unite in rebellion, overthrowing their oppressors, and dream of a society where all animals are equal, free, and well-fed. At first, the pigs, intelligent and well-educated, assume leadership, preaching equality and promising a utopia. But as time passes, they become increasingly corrupt, manipulating and oppressing the other animals to maintain control. The farm devolves into a dictatorship, and the original ideal, all animals are equal, is twisted into all animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others. In other words, the pursuit of total equality paradoxically results in greater inequality. This book is a powerful allegory of human nature, and its message remains strikingly relevant today. Tyrants, however, despise any appeal to objective truth or moral values, because such appeals impose limits on their power. The moment you recognize an authority higher than the will of the strongest, you challenge the totalitarian instinct. Chesterton writes, "It is only by believing in God that we can ever criticize the government. Once abolish the God, and the government becomes the God." Conformism is another result of disorientation, which may promote totalitarianism. People simply back an idea to look good in the eyes of others and do not truly believe in the cause they publicly support, and those who do not preach what they do are punished and frowned upon. Stephen Fry states, "It's a strange paradox that the liberals are illiberal in their demand for liberality. They are exclusive in their demand for inclusivity. They are homogeneous in their demand for heterogeneity. They are somehow undiverse in their call for diversity. You can be diverse, but not diverse in your opinions and in your language and in your behavior. And that's a terrible pity." Nietzsche refers to these figures as the preachers of equality, those who, driven by resentment, seek to bring down anyone who rises above them. They claim to act in the name of justice, but in reality they disguise their thirst for revenge beneath moralistic rhetoric. In Thus Spoke Zarathustra, Nietzsche delivers his famous parable on the tarantulas, describing these preachers as venomous creatures that spread the poison of resentment. "Look here, this is the hole of the tarantula. Do you want to see the tarantula itself? Its web hangs here. Touch it, make it tremble. Here it comes willingly. Welcome, tarantula. Revenge sits in your soul. Wherever you bite, there black scabs grow. Your poison makes the soul whirl with revenge. So I speak to you in parables. You who cause the souls to whirl, you preachers of equality. Tarantulas you are to me and hidden avengers, but I want to expose your hiding places to the light. Therefore I laugh into your face, my laughter of the heights. For that mankind be redeemed from revenge. That to me is the bridge to the highest hope and a rainbow after long thunderstorms." To the preachers of equality, leveling all differences is the ultimate virtue. To Zarathustra, however, this false virtue is nothing more than vengeance and death. The preachers, the tarantulas, must be torn from their webs. Their so-called will to equality is not about justice, but about tearing down everything powerful, noble, or exceptional. This, Nietzsche argues, runs contrary to our instincts, the natural drive to create, grow, and overcome. Just as a tree naturally extends its roots and seeks nourishment, so too does a person strive to enhance health, wealth, strength, and status, all manifestations of the will to power. Nietzsche warns against those who mask their resentment under the guise of virtue. You preachers of equality, the tyrant's madness of impotence cries thus out of you for equality. Your secret tyrant's cravings mask themselves thus in your words of virtue. Their cries for equality, Nietzsche argues, are not rooted in justice, but in impotence and vanity, fueled by a deep-seated thirst for revenge. Mistrust all in whom the drive to punish is strong. Mistrust all who speak much of their justice. Yet Zarathustra refuses to succumb to their vengeful spirit. He resists the pull of resentment, even when bitten by the tarantulas. Alas! Then the tarantula bit me, my old enemy. Punishment and justice must be, thus it thinks. Not for nothing shall he sing his songs in honor of hostility here. Yes, it has avenged itself. And alas, now it will also make my soul whirl with revenge. But so that I do not whirl, my friends, bind me fast to this pillar here. I would rather be a stylite than a whirlwind of revenge. Zarathustra distances himself from those who disguise their resentment as moral righteousness. Many preach the doctrine of life, yet they remain creatures of equality, tarantulas in disguise. But Zarathustra preaches life without equality. For justice speaks to me, humans are not equal, and they shouldn't become so either. What would my love for the Overman be if I spoke otherwise? For the philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche, the Overman, or Übermensch in German, represents the highest possible expression of human potential. He is not just an improved version of the ordinary person, but someone who has transcended traditional values and limitations. Nietzsche believed that humanity's ultimate purpose was not to follow rigid moral codes or religious doctrines, but to create and define its own meaning. The Overman is the one who dares to shape his own destiny, standing above conventional ideas of good and evil. In this way, he becomes the true fulfillment of life's potential, the real meaning of existence. The Overman is always evolving, never satisfied with who he is today. He understands that personal growth requires constant struggle, self-examination, and reinvention. Unlike those who seek power over others, such as politicians, religious leaders, or ideologues who impose their beliefs, the Overman is only concerned with mastering himself. He does not seek validation from society or conform to its expectations. Instead, he embraces challenges, takes risks, and pushes his own boundaries. To him, life is a process of self-overcoming, a journey of becoming greater than he was before. However, Nietzsche also recognized that not everyone is capable of becoming an Overman. The idea that all people could be extraordinary is, in his view, unrealistic. He believed that human society naturally forms into a hierarchy, where some individuals rise above others through strength, intelligence, and creativity. This natural divide, which he called the pathos of distance, is what separates the ordinary from the exceptional. It is not meant to be a tool of oppression, but rather a recognition that greatness requires effort, struggle, and a willingness to stand apart from the crowd. The Overman does not look down on others with cruelty, but simply acknowledges that true excellence cannot be achieved by everyone. It is reserved for those who dare to rise above mediocrity. Nietzsche warns against a dangerous tendency in society, the resentment toward greatness. He believed that ordinary people should not try to erase the strong, the noble, and the exceptional out of sheer spite. Instead of aspiring to elevate themselves, many seek to pull others down, attacking those who rise above the average. This, to Nietzsche, is the hidden motive behind many calls for absolute equality, not a true desire for justice, but a subconscious longing to punish excellence. Rather than striving for greatness themselves, these individuals prefer to see the exceptional brought down to their level. This is why Nietzsche was critical of the so-called preachers of equality. In their hearts, they do not seek fairness but revenge against those who stand out. To Nietzsche, the true dystopia is not inequality itself, but the triumph of the last man, the ultimate symbol of mediocrity and complacency. The last man does not dream, does not strive, and does not challenge himself. He is content with comfort, security, and mindless entertainment. He does not seek meaning or personal growth, but instead avoids difficulty at all costs, choosing ease over excellence. He does not want to be different. He wants to blend in, to be just like everyone else. In a world ruled by the last man, there is no greatness, no ambition, and no struggle, only stagnation. This is leveling in its purest form, the systematic erasure of individuality, the suppression of brilliance, and the flattening of all distinctions between people. If no one is allowed to be exceptional, if all differences must be erased, then humanity loses its richness, its creativity, and its potential for true greatness. Nietzsche feared a future where society, in the name of equality, would strip away everything that makes life meaningful, reducing people to passive, unremarkable beings, afraid to think, create, or strive for more. And those who embrace this mindset are the most vulnerable to totalitarianism. Orwell captures this nightmare in 1984, depicting a world where the state has perfected control, psychological manipulation, mass surveillance, control of thought and behavior, censorship of history and information, the destruction of language itself, the complete eradication of individuality. The future of such a world is summed up in Orwell's chilling warning. If you want a picture of the future, imagine a boot stamping on a human face, forever. The antidote to this fate is freedom and individuality. We must resist the seductive pull of conformity, the siren song of forced equality. As Orwell reminds us, if liberty means anything at all, it means the right to tell people what they do not want to hear.